I work since 14 and buy. Laptop for school, but parents demand I sell it and buy family groceries. The laptop sat on the kitchen table like a forbidden treasure, its sleek silver body glinting under the flickering bulb. At 16, Ethan had bled for it 2 years of greasy diner shifts, burning his hands on hot plates and dodging drunk customers' insults. Now, his parents wanted to pawn it for potatoes and canned soup. Ethan's fingers twitched, still sore from last night's double shift. He'd bought the laptop for school. For coding classes he dreamed would lift him out of this crumbling house where the fridge hummed louder than hope. His mother, Linda, stood across the table, her arms crossed, her face a map of exhaustion carved by years of scraping by. "We need groceries." "Ethan," she said, her voice sharp but brittle, like glass about to crack. "You can't eat a laptop." His father, Tom, leaned against the counter, rubbing his temples. The man who once taught Ethan to ride a bike now looked like he carried the weight of the world in his calloused hands. "You're selfish," Tom muttered, not meeting Ethan's eyes. "We're starving, and you're clinging to some toy." Ethan's chest tightened. Selfish. He'd started working at 14, bussing tables while his classmates played video games. He'd saved every cent, skipping new shoes even when his soles flapped like loose tongues. The laptop wasn't a toy, it was his ticket to a future where he wouldn't have to count pennies for milk. "I earned this," Ethan said, his voice low but steady. "I worked for it. For school. For me." Linda's eyes flashed. "You think you're better than us? You think we don't work?" She gestured at the peeling wallpaper, the empty pantry. "This family is drowning, and you're worried about your dreams." Ethan wanted to scream. He loved them. God. He did, but love felt like a noose sometimes. His parents weren't monsters. They were just tired. Tired of bills, of hunger, of life. But why did his future have to pay their price? The argument wasn't new. It had simmered for years, ever since Ethan's dad lost his factory job and his mom's nursing shifts got cut. Ethan had stepped up, dropping soccer practice to pick up shifts, handing over most of his paychecks. But the laptop was his line in the sand. He'd enrolled in an online coding course, one that promised a scholarship if he excelled. It was his way out, not just for him, but for them all. "Sell it," Tom said, his voice final. "We need food. You owe us that much." Owe them, Ethan's jaw clenched. He owed them his childhood, his sleep, his blisters. But he also saw the way his mom's hands shook when she counted their last dollars, the way his dad stared at the ceiling at night, as if answers were written in the cracks. "I'll buy the groceries," Ethan said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I'm keeping the laptop." Linda scoffed. "With what money you think miracles grow on trees?" Ethan didn't answer. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the door, the weight of their stares heavier than the diner trays he carried. Outside, the autumn air bit his cheeks as he walked to the pawn shop 3 blocks away. Not to sell the laptop, but to see if his old bike, another sacrifice from last year, could fetch enough for a week's groceries. The pawn shop smelled of dust and desperation. The owner, Mr. Kessler, a grizzled man with a permanent squint, looked Ethan up and down, back again. "Kid," he said, smirking. "What's it this time? Your dreams or your dinner?" Ethan ignored the jab and pointed to the bike hanging on the wall. "How much for that?" Kessler scratched his chin. $50. It's rusted." Ethan's heart sank. 50 wouldn't cover much. He thought of the laptop, still sitting on the kitchen table, and the coding course he'd stayed up nights studying for. He could still hear his dad's voice. "You owe us?" Back home, the kitchen was silent when Ethan returned with a single bag of groceries, rice, beans, and a loaf of day-old bread. His parents sat at the table, the laptop untouched between them. Linda's eyes were red, and Tom wouldn't look at him. "I got what I could," Ethan said, setting the bag down. "I'm not selling it." Linda opened her mouth, but no words came. Instead, she reached for the bag, her fingers brushing the laptop as she did. For a moment, Ethan thought she might apologize, but she just started unpacking the groceries. Days turned into weeks, and the tension in the house thickened like fog. Ethan kept working, kept studying, kept dreaming. He aced his coding assignments, his fingers flying over the keys in the quiet of midnight. But every grocery run, every bill, every argument chipped away at him. He started to wonder if he was selfish, if his dreams were a luxury he couldn't afford. One night, Ethan came home to find his mom sitting at the kitchen table, the laptop open in front of her. She was watching one of his coding tutorials, her brow furrowed in concentration. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked, startled. Linda looked up, almost embarrassed. "I wanted to see what you're fighting for," she said. "I don't understand it, but you're good at this, aren't you?" Ethan nodded, his throat tight. "Yeah, I am." She closed the laptop gently, like it was something precious. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "We've been asking too much." Ethan didn't know what to say. He wanted to hug her, to yell, to cry. Instead, he sat down, and for the first time in years, they talked not about money or sacrifice, but about his classes, his hopes, the programs he wanted to build. Tom joined them, hesitant at first, but soon he was asking questions, even laughing when Ethan explained how code could make a game. It wasn't a perfect fix. The pantry was still sparse and the bills still loomed. But that night, something shifted. Ethan's parents started seeing him not just as a provider, but as a person with a future. They didn't ask about the laptop again. Months later, Ethan won the scholarship. It wasn't enough to fix everything, but it was a start. He used part of it to buy groceries, real groceries, not just rice and beans, and when he set them on the table, his mom hugged him, tears in her eyes. "You didn't have to," she said. "I wanted to," Ethan replied. And for the first time, it felt true, not like a debt, but a choice. This story isn't just about Ethan. It's about the weight of family, the cost of dreams, and the blurry line between duty and self. Was Ethan right to hold on to his laptop, or were his parents justified in their demands? Share your thoughts. What would you have done? And